The Mughal Empire, the dynasty that crowned India with marble and fire. It began not in India, but far away, beyond the snow-capped mountains of Central Asia. A young prince named Zahir-ud-Din Muhammad Babur, descendant of two of the world's greatest conquerors, Genghis Khan on his mother's side and Timur, Tamerlane, on his father's, dreamed of empire. Yet when he looked around, he saw only loss. His ancestral lands in Samarkand were gone, his armies scattered, and his throne taken. But Babur was not a man to fade into exile. He turned his eyes south, to the fabled land of India, a place of unimaginable wealth, where the rivers sparkled with gold and ancient cities thrived beneath the sun. In 1526, the exiled prince crossed the Khyber Pass with barely 12,000 soldiers, facing the powerful Sultan Ibrahim Lodi and his army of 100,000 men. At Panipat, Babur unleashed something India had never seen before: field artillery and gunpowder warfare. Cannons thundered, elephants panicked, and the mighty Lodi Sultan fell. That battle marked the dawn of a new empire. The Mughal Empire, a dynasty that would shape India for the next 300 years. Babur, the exiled conqueror. Babur's victory at Panipat in 1526 was not just a conquest, it was the rebirth of an ancient dream. He founded his capital at Agra and wrote one of the most poetic memoirs in history, the Baburnama, filled with reflections on life, beauty, and nature. Yet Babur's time in India was short. He missed the gardens and cool valleys of his homeland. He once wrote that, "The air of Hindustan is not good, the mountains are far." But destiny had bound him to the plains of India. When he died in 1530, he left behind not only an empire, but a legacy of ambition and art that his descendants would expand beyond imagination. Humayun, the dreamer who lost and found a kingdom. Babur's son Humayun inherited the empire at only 22. But unlike his father, he was more of a scholar and dreamer than a warrior. The throne he inherited was fragile, divided by rivals, threatened by Afghan rebels, and shaken by internal strife. In 1540, Humayun was defeated by the Afghan leader Sher Shah Suri, and fled into exile in Persia. For 15 long years, he wandered the deserts, clinging to hope. But fate gave him one last chance. With Persian help, he reconquered Delhi in 1555, only to die a year later, after slipping on the stairs of his library while answering the call to prayer. It was a poetic end to a poetic ruler, and his death left behind a kingdom for his infant son, Akbar, to inherit. Akbar the Great, the emperor who built an idea. When Akbar took the throne in 1556, he was just 13. The empire was on the brink of collapse. But within 50 years, Akbar would turn it into the greatest power in the Indian subcontinent. Unlike his ancestors, Akbar was not content with conquest alone. He sought to unite his empire's many peoples, Hindus, Muslims, Rajputs, and Persians, under one crown. He abolished the jizya tax on non-Muslims, welcomed Hindu nobles into his court, and married Rajput princesses. In his new capital at Fatehpur Sikri, Akbar gathered scholars, poets, and philosophers of all faiths to debate religion and ethics. He envisioned a realm of tolerance and reason, a philosophy he called Din-i-Ilahi, the faith of God. But Akbar was also a military genius. He expanded his empire from Kabul to Bengal, from Kashmir to the Deccan. His administration became a model of efficiency, his army unmatched in discipline, his treasury overflowing. By the time he died in 1605, the Mughal Empire was a living symbol of unity, and Akbar himself had become one of the greatest rulers the world had ever known. 4. Jahangir, the connoisseur of beauty. Akbar's son Jahangir, whose name means, conqueror of the world, inherited not just an empire, but an era of peace and luxury. He was a lover of art, gardens, and the delicate pleasures of life. He filled his palaces with paintings, jeweled miniatures, and perfumed fountains. His memoirs, Tuzak-i Jahangiri, reveal a man of deep curiosity and aesthetic refinement. Under Jahangir's rule, Mughal painting reached its golden age, blending Persian elegance with Indian vibrancy. His love for Nur Jahan, his intelligent and powerful queen, became legendary. She influenced court politics and even issued coins in her own name, a rare honor for a woman of her time. But Jahangir also faced rebellion, most notably from his own son Khurram, who would one day become Shah Jahan. When Jahangir died in 1627, the empire passed to a prince whose vision would immortalize the Mughals forever, not with blood, but with marble. Shah Jahan, the Emperor of Splendor. If Akbar built the empire, Shah Jahan perfected it. His reign, 1628 to 1658, is remembered as the golden age of Mughal architecture, a time when art and empire reached divine harmony. He built the Red Fort of Delhi, the Jama Masjid, and the breathtaking Peacock Throne, encrusted with rubies, emeralds, and diamonds, including the fabled Kohinoor. But above all, he built a monument to love. The Taj Mahal. When his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal died in 1631 giving birth to their 14th child, Shah Jahan's heart was shattered. Out of his grief rose a wonder of the world, a mausoleum of white marble that seemed to capture both heaven and sorrow. 20,000 artisans toiled for over 20 years to bring his vision to life. The Taj Mahal became more than a tomb. It became a symbol of eternal devotion, an empire carved in love. Aurangzeb, the last of the great Mughals. Shah Jahan's son Aurangzeb seized the throne in a bloody war of succession, imprisoning his father in the fort of Agra, where the old emperor spent his last years gazing at the Taj Mahal across the Yamuna River. Aurangzeb ruled longer than any Mughal, nearly 50 years, and under him, the empire reached its greatest territorial extent, stretching from Afghanistan to the deep south of India. But his reign was also marked by religious conservatism and endless warfare. He reimposed the jizya tax, destroyed some temples, and faced continuous rebellions from Marathas, Sikhs, and Rajputs. The treasury emptied, armies grew weary, and the unity Akbar had built slowly unraveled. When Aurangzeb died in 1707, he left behind an empire vast, but fragile, cracked by its own weight. The fall of the Mughals and the fading glory. After Aurangzeb's death, the Mughal Empire began to crumble. Weak successors, palace intrigues, and constant invasions, first by the Persian Nadir Shah in 1739, then by Ahmad Shah Durrani, bled the empire dry. The once mighty Peacock Throne was carried away, Delhi was sacked, and the imperial aura faded. By the mid-18th century, the empire was little more than a memory. Yet the legacy of the Mughals lived on, in art, language, cuisine, architecture, and even the soul of India itself. Their domes still crowned the skyline, their gardens still bloomed beside silent rivers, and their monuments, especially the Taj Mahal, continued to whisper the story of a dynasty that blended conquest with culture, and blood with beauty. The marble and the dust. The Mughals came as conquerors, but they became more than that. They became Indians, shaping and being shaped by the land they ruled. From Babur's cannons to Shah Jahan's marble, from Akbar's tolerance to Aurangzeb's austerity, the Mughal story is not just about kings and battles. It is about how power meets art, how faith meets empire, and how beauty outlives everything. Centuries have passed, empires have fallen, and the marble has faded. But as long as the sun rises over the Taj Mahal, the world will remember the name, Mughal.